thank you for tuning into Family Lifestyles. My name is Nan Montgomery, and I am the Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences here in Allen County. And today I'm so excited. I have a special guest with me. This is Marla Stillwell, and she is the Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences in LaRue County. And if you don't know, June is National Dairy Month, and I'm pretty excited about that because I love ice cream, and I know there's a lot of other, of course, dairy products, but ice cream is one of my favorites.
Ice cream is the top of the list, for sure.
But this is a cool fact that Marla grew up or had lived on a dairy farm.
I did.
So can you tell us, what was it like growing up on a dairy farm?
Sure. I have very fond memories of my raising on a dairy farm. My dad did this after he retired from his public job, and so we only had a dairy for about 10 years. It was a lot of work, and I think that's where I get a lot of my work ethic.
Yes.
I think that's where that comes from, because if you've ever been on a dairy farm or know anybody that does that, it's 24/7 all the time. And so I have a deep appreciation for our dairy farmers, which are few and far between now. So. I actually, on the way down here today, I saw one and had good memories, flashback of that. So a lot of hard work, but they do it because they love it, and so we just want to just shout out to our dairy farmers out there and just say thank you more than anything.
Absolutely, and if you've never had a chance to visit, a dairy farm or buy, local, take this opportunity and go look up, call your extension office and ask. If you don't know where a local dairy farm is, call us. We'd love to get you that. But go, and it's a wonderful trip. You were talking about driving down here, passing through Barron County has some dairy farms, but also I know in Warren County there's a really big agritourism spot, Cheney's Dairy Barn. If you've never been through there, they have their electronic milkers and go through all the process. But there's also other dairies, around our community. So it just kind of makes a fun trip for you to really tie in agriculture, but then also, farm to table and just the whole processes, because sometimes our dairy farmers are left out a little bit when it comes to...
unfortunately, they do get left out of that thought process. And so just next time you sit down to pour yourself a glass of milk, just maybe think about where that may have come from, because more than likely it's probably come from somewhere local.
Absolutely. Okay, so not only is our dairy farmers important, but dairy gives our bodies a lot of vitamins and minerals and nutrients we need. So can you tell us exactly how much dairy should people or adults consume?
Yeah. The recommended amount for adults are 2 to 3 servings a day, and usually a serving is about 8 ounces. That could mean a cup of milk for breakfast or at a meal, but it can also mean other dairy products such as yogurt or cheese that you might have within your meal. And so 2 to 3 servings is what's recommended for an adult.
Perfect. And then, of course, we also have different guidelines, or according to the USDA and the MyPlate, we have different guidelines for children. Those do range in different for a quantity. So if you ever, are interested in that, of course, you can call Extension, or, you can always go to USDA and look it up and find kind of your chart for the age of your child, because it does change as they get older. They need more dairy.
Right. And it also benefits them. It's very important because of their growth. Their bones are still growing, and that's why it's so important for children.
Absolutely right. That's when people don't get enough of their dairy products. Of course, that's what leads to osteoporosis. So it is very important to start your children with dairy at an early age. And then I know sometimes that leads to, oh no, what if some children have allergies and whatnot, and if that's your case, of course, you would talk to your your pediatrician or your doctor to find supplements and kind of get a certain diet plan for your family. But if you can have dairy, it is very healthy part of the diet. I feel like there's differently some myths out there that some people are like, dairy's not good, or different things that are circulating. But dairy is a very, very important part
Yes,
of
very
our
much
diet.
so. And there's so many different products out there too. I know that can be challenging as well as when you're shopping for what you're looking for. There's so many different options. There's 2%, there's whole milk, there's skim, there's all these different products that you might see out there and you're maybe not sure. So just talk to your doctor about that, or let your extension office know, and they can help guide you in the right direction.
Well, you just led me to a good question. So can you tell us what is the difference, or this is a question I get sometimes when I'm teaching a nutrition class, what is the difference between, a skim milk and a whole milk? Because some of the questions that I have got, or some of the answers that people think they do to milk, is not exactly correct.
Exactly. I think I just had this conversation recently about milk and how, like in our community, the summer meal program that our schools are offering, they are providing whole milk this year, and it's coming in the form of a gallon, which is very nice and helpful. But that may not be what your family's used to,
right.
And so just knowing the difference between what whole milk is versus maybe 2%. So when you have fresh milk that's been given to you from the cow, you have a lot of fat content that's naturally in the milk, and so without any of those particles being taken out, that is what gives you your whole milk product, and so all of those milk particles are still present. When you get into reduced fat milks like 2% or 1% or skim, all that means is that some of that fat has been taken out, or it's been removed completely. And so a lot of people, and this may be the myth or the question that you get, is a lot of people say that skim milk is just watered down milk.
Yes.
But that's not technically true. There's more probably water in that milk, but it's just because the fat particles have been removed. So not watered down milk. All the nutrition is still there. You're just not getting as much of that fat content that you maybe would have.
You answered that. I'm so happy you touched on that, because that was the question, that I get. Well, skim milk is just water. It's just water. I don't know what they do to it, but it's just water. And so I like to clear that up. That no, it's not. It's your fat content. And then also your vitamins and minerals are relatively the same. So basically,
Correct.
our main change is our fat content. The vitamins and minerals, like I said, might be slightly different, but nothing drastic when it comes to whether you choose skim milk or whole milk.
Right. That vitamin D and that calcium is what we're looking for, and so that's what you want to, depending on what your diet requires. That's kind of that's how you can make the decision for yourself and for your family.
Exactly, and that's another reason why dairy is so important, because true dairy products have the vitamin D and the calcium we need. When we kind of explore others, we don't always get the true vitamin D and calcium in the product. So that's why we want to make sure that we are keeping our dairy group and making that an important part of our diet and incorporating that, on our dinner table. So let me ask you something else. I see that you've brought some goodies, and I see like cottage cheese and yogurt. Those are also some of my, favorites of in the dairy group, I should say. What are some ways that maybe people could make healthy snacks out of that if they need some options?
Oh, the possibilities are endless, in my opinion. I know something in my family, and even in our community with LaRue County's extension programs that we offer. We do a lot of programs with kids to try to incorporate these products in, and things like smoothies or yogurt parfaits are another favorite among families with kids. Just making it more fun, making it look attractive, and making incorporating those items in can be an easy way. I know cottage cheese has kind of been trending lately with incorporating that in and making that, because it's such a high protein source of dairy, and just finding unique ways to use these products. And there's even ways out there that you can make some of these products on your own. So
yes, we're going to take a break, but when we get back, we are going to actually talk about how we can use some of these products and make your household staples a little bit more budget friendly.
The longer I live, the more I believe you do have to give before you receive. Been knocked down by the slamming door, picked myself up and came back for more. Life's a dance, you learn as you go. Sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow. Don't worry about what you don't know. Life's a dance, you learn as you go.
Thank for tuning back into Family Lifestyles. My name is Nan Montgomery. I'm the Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences here in Allen County. And I have a special guest, Marla Stillwell. She is the Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences in LaRue County. And if you're just joining us, we are talking about dairy, June's National Dairy Month, and the different products that are available. And I'm so excited because we are going to make butter.
We are.
And Marla's going to teach us a simple way. If you've never made butter, it's super easy.
It is very easy. There's lots of ways that you can make your own butter, and the reason that I thought this would be appropriate for today is because I know we were talking about how you can to save money if you're looking for ways to cut your food budget. Sometimes making your own products that you're used to buying from the store is a lot simpler than you might think. So. Butter is very easy to make. Today we're going to use the jar method, which is just shaking a jar until the butter forms. There's also ways that you can do it like in a stand mixer or in a blender. I knew that would be loud today for our show, so I thought we'll just make the muscles work for us today.
We're going to get our exercise too. You know,
right.
Hey, we're getting our dairy, which is important for our part of our healthy diet, and we're going to get our exercise. This is also going to be really great for kids to do.
And that was the next thing I was going to say is that this is a great way to get your kids involved in the kitchen. Sometimes I've noticed working with kids in my career as an extension agent is if you show them how something is made, they're more likely to try it, and they're more likely just having an open mind about, I think I'll try that since I know what goes in it. And so I think that's even true with adults.
Oh, definitely. When you have a hand in the process, you want to eat it and try it if you put that work in.
Right. So, getting kids in the kitchen, this is a great way to get involved. I will caution if you're doing this with kids, you may want to choose something that's more plastic.
Okay.
Just in case something gets dropped or, if it slips out of their hand, which can happen. We are using glass jars today, just mason jars is all that it takes. The products that we are using, the dairy that we are using today is just heavy whipping cream. Heavy cream is required for this product for butter to form because, as you remember, we talked about a lot of how dairy products are so different and how you've got all the different varieties. You really need the fat content still present in there. It is possible to make with just regular whole milk, but it takes a lot longer and it's a little more difficult unless you're using some type of commercial mechanism kind of machine to do that like they do commercially.
Gotcha.
So if you're just doing this at home, I would recommend doing the heavy cream just because cream is the cream that rises to the top of the milk. You've heard that saying before. And this is, that's where all the fat is, and that's what butter is the butter fat from the milk. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of measure whatever container you're using. This is I'm going to just kind of do about 8 ounces of this for this size jar.
Okay.
Any kind of container that you're using, and I can measure yours for you, or I would just do maybe about the same amount.
Okay.
I brought 2 different size containers just to show you that, whatever you have will work.
Okay.
You just need room to shake, and so you wouldn't want to fill this completely all the way to the top.
Understand.
The way butter is made, and here's a science lesson for you, chemistry at its best, right, is that, you're turning a liquid into a solid, and so by the movement of the cream and the shaking against the jar, those fat particles are separating from the liquid that's inside. We are going to flavor this just a little bit. I've got a half a teaspoon of salt that I'm going to put in, and we'll go ahead and put some in for yours as well. The salt just gives it flavor. It does not make or break the butter.
Well, I was going to ask you that. I know some people, we're not using, a ton of salt by any means.
Right.
But if they were trying to, watch their salt, could they leave it out? So you already answered that no, it's not going to make a break. It's just giving us that little flavor.
Just like you can buy salted butter and you can buy unsalted butter. So the salt is just for flavor only. So this takes a little bit of time. It doesn't take long. It's important to start with a very cold product. So making sure that you keep your cream cold until you get ready to start. And this is what you do for about 5 to 8 minutes is about what it takes. This is where kids really like. They love, and it's funny because a lot of kids don't believe you that it's actually going to happen until they start hearing that butter form inside, because it'll start clunking in there.
Yes, I know when we go as extension agents, we go and like do nutrition and different things in classrooms. And this is an activity we have. We have it in jars. I think we have one that maybe I've done it in a bag or something with like younger kids. And I know the same thing. They're like, there's no way. But well, I've even had some adults that are like, they didn't know about
me too.
butter and stuff. And they're like, no way that happened.
So simple to make. So the first stage that we're going to notice is that this cream will start to get really thick.
Okay.
And you won't hear the slushing like you're hearing now. And it basically is turning into whipped cream. So just like you would with if you've ever made whipped cream on your own with like a mixer or with a whisk, it starts to thicken and you'll get whipped cream, which that's more of a sweet topping. But so you'd want to add maybe sugar instead of salt if you're looking for whipped cream. But
well, that's a good way. I'm glad that you said that because people may not realize that that's how whipped cream is formed. And so we're approaching the holidays. I don't know. We like a good old apple pie for 4th of July and put that. I guess ice cream, but we put whipped cream on
whipped
ours
cream
too.
works too.
So,
yeah,
or
for sure.
Different types of things. So that's another staple that we can incorporate. So maybe, like you said, leave the salt out. You can do whipped cream, and then go a step further, and then you get your butter. So that's 2 ways to save your family money. And I just bought whipped cream the other day, and it's getting a little expensive.
And knowing how simple it is to make, that's an easy way to save some of your grocery budget money on something that you can make. You can tell that it's starting to thicken.
Yes.
Yours is, I think, getting thicker than mine already. So you have more room in your jar. Which may make a difference on how fast this creates
butter.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I can definitely tell my consistency is changing. Mine, you probably can't hear it, but mine's not sloshing as much as Marla said that would happen, in our process. This is also a great way too. That, like I said, I feel like I'm working my muscles.
I keep having to switch arms.
And yes, so this is another great activity. We always talk about incorporating physical activity, and I know this probably sounds like a little silly, but this is kind of a great way for you to kind of just get just this little motion, you're not sedentary, you're actually working.
Moving.
And
any movement is good movement.
Yes. And we've already talked about getting kids in the kitchen, grandkids in the kitchen. I kind of like to say my child, yes, she does have, an iPad and, phone and things of that sort. But in the summer, I keep hearing, I'm so bored, Mom.
Yeah.
And this would be a great activity to bring, okay, well, you're so bored, I'm going to give you something to do.
Yeah.
And then it gets them, away from that, your screens and
kids are more instantaneous these days though, so they'll get bored of this somewhat quickly, but tell them to keep going because when they hear that butter start clunking around in there, it's kind of magical.
Oh yeah, and I can tell
mine's getting thicker by the minute. Something else that sometimes will change the rate of how fast this goes is if you have hot hands.
Okay.
The heat from your hands can kind of slow it down a little bit.
Oh, well, that's definitely mine.
Me too. So we may be here a while on the end.
So basically, in this process, it varies depending on the person, your jar size. There's, hot hands, there's different factors, but we will eventually, have some butter, and we'll show you that here in a little bit. But we're going to take a break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about dairy, and we'll see you in a minute.
Another teenager, victim to fake pills. That smells like big crime that needs to be stopped. Before buying pills online, think about this. Should buying prescription pills be this easy? Did you know that fake prescription pills may contain fentanyl, and an amount small enough to fit on the tip of a pencil can be lethal? Before buying pills from social media, think again. Learn more at mcgruffpsa.org and go for real.
Thank you for tuning back into Family Lifestyles. My name is Nan Montgomery. I'm the Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences here in Allen County, and I have Marla Stillwell with me today, and she's the Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences in LaRue County. And if you're just tuning in, we've been talking about National Dairy Month, which is in June, our different dairy products. We just finished up making butter, and we want to talk about some other products that you have like throughout the process of making butter. So we shook our jar probably, 10 or so minutes. And you probably can't see very well in here, but there is butter. There's a little ball formed in here. And then Marla, what do you have in yours?
So after you separate the fat from the liquid, you're going to end up with what looks just like milk, but that's actually what we call buttermilk. And so not only have you made butter to enjoy in recipes, or if you're going to use it on toast or a baked potato, whatever you're going to use it on, you've also made another dairy product in the form of buttermilk, so that you could use that with. My favorite would probably have to be buttermilk pancakes, buttermilk biscuits, any of those baked goods that you might enjoy buttermilk in. But that's what this liquid is that has separated from the fat inside the cream.
So, I mean, this is just amazing to think that we can make 3 different products. So we talked about, you have your whipping cream, of course you can make your butter, and then you have your buttermilk just by using really 2 ingredients, and if you want to even simplify it, 1 ingredient, leave the salt
leave the salt out, right?
If you need be. And so this is going to save your family money, but then just to know that you have 3 different products, that's really cool to work with. Now,
and it makes a lot. This was 1 cup of cream, and it's made. That's probably at least a stick or 2 of butter. So
it is. That goes well in my house. I don't know how long it would actually last because we like butter, but it's a decent amount, and it's just the fact that it's homemade. So you don't have a lot of extra ingredients in it. If that's something that you want to be look out for, you made this
Yep.
naturally and
we talked about how the salt was a flavor for your butter, but think about all the ways you could flavor this even further. So honey cinnamon.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite. Honey cinnamon butter, or what were you thinking?
We like steak, and we like to make an herb butter. Something about
garlic,
like maybe
herb
some,
butter.
Yes, rosemary. Add some rosemary and thyme
It would be excellent. So the next thing you'd want to do with this, if you're going to add some flavor in it, you would want to rinse this in some ice water first. And the cold from the ice will just kind of help fully pull out the rest of the liquid that could be on the surface of that butter. So we didn't have a bowl of ice in here to do that with, but that's the only thing you'd want to do is just kind of put it in a bowl of ice for just a few minutes, and then just kind of rinse that off with some cold water, and then it'll be ready for you to refrigerate or add some more flavoring to.
I'm glad you said refrigerate, because I know sometimes and I will say my grandmother used to just pull a stick of butter out and leave it out on the table all day, and then soften it and stuff. And really, you need to use your butter, put it back in there. This is really important that you stay in your refrigerator, use it, put it back up. We don't want to leave it just sitting on our, from breakfast all the way to supper, even though I know sometimes that's something that has been done. It's, it's not really food safe wise.
Still a dairy product, which means it needs to be refrigerated.
Absolutely. So make sure this gets in the refrigerator when you are done. Now, my daughter has a dairy sensitivity, and there's differences between sensitivities and allergies. And so you might be thinking, oh, this is really great, but someone in my family or myself, we can't have products, or maybe we have to miss out. So one, can you tell us a little bit about, a sensitivity and allergy, and then maybe other products that people still can enjoy dairy that are available?
Yeah. I hate that for your daughter, because but hopefully she doesn't miss out, because there are products out there. A lot of times when someone is allergic to a dairy, it's the lactose that they're allergic to, which is a protein in the milk. And so there are products out there that are lactose free, and so just looking for those lactose free ingredients or the products that they make would be my suggestion. Further than that, if there's other things you're allergic to, I always advise people to just talk with their doctor about those, and they can provide some additional recommendations.
Definitely. And then when you have a sensitivity, like my daughter has, there's a medication that she can take. Of course, she was consulted with her pediatrician to make sure she could take it. It's an over-the-counter medication. There's different varieties that I'm sure, speaking with a healthcare provider, they can tell you about. But if she wants to eat ice cream or yogurt, and it's more so, I would say, I'm not sure what it is, if she drinks like a full glass of milk or ice cream, it really affects her. Now, if she eats cheese or yogurt, it's not as bad. So I'm not really, sure, but she takes this medicine, and then she can consume it, and it basically helps break down those lactose and the enzymes that are in it. It helps her body break it down so she doesn't get a bellyache. Now, if you have an allergy, there's not necessarily, I wouldn't say there's no medication because I'm not a healthcare provider, but if you have an allergy, of course, you don't need to be experimenting. But if your doctor has said you had a sensitivity or something, there are some different things. And of course,
you've heard the word lactose intolerant.
Yes.
So that's kind of what we're talking about more so than the allergy.
Right. And we've come a long way, because I can't recall growing up that they had different types of product or the variety that they have on the market. Now they may have, but since I didn't have a sensitivity or allergy, you know, my family wasn't shopping to look for that. But I feel like, you know, over time there's been more products developed so that people can
certainly,
enjoy dairy and be able to break down, you know, those enzymes in there that they have either a sensitivity, you know, to.
Right.
And so we hope you enjoyed this segment. If you would like any type of dairy recipes or you're interested in any type of extension programming, please feel free to reach out to your local extension office. If you are in LaRue County or anywhere around that area and you would like programs or any information, you know, on dairy, or maybe it's even, you know, dairy farms in the area that we talked about that a little bit earlier in the show, please feel free to contact their extension office, your local extension office, and we'd be happy to get you in touch with local dairy farms that have agritourism, or maybe set you up an appointment. If they don't have agritourism, sometimes that I know the farmers are really excited to be able to keep the community in touch with, you know, what they are doing and how that they are impacting the community, and make that an educational part. So contact your local extension office, and we'd be happy to get you those resources in your hands and get you those connections. And we can't wait to see you next time on Family Lifestyles.